Hey, party people, welcome back. So you want to be a fashion designer. And you know what? I don't blame you. Do you know how much fun fashion designers have? I know our industry gets a lot of hate sometimes, but you know what? Do you know why there are so many people who work in fashion? It's fun. I think it's fun. I've been working in fashion for a while. I'm still not bored, and I get bored pretty easily. If you want to be a fashion designer, you need to learn what flats are and how to draw them and how to use them. What are flats? Flats are very specific, detailed, technical drawings of your garments that you want to make. Now, you can do them by hand. You can do them in software programs like Adobe Illustrator to be even more exact. But these technical drawings are like clothing blueprints, and they get really precise as to, say, if you're drawing this shirt, your flat will show me how many buttons you're going to have along the center front placket, what kind of buttonholes are going to be with those buttons, how they're going to be spaced, and whether or not you're going to have an extra button sewn into the side seam so that the customer has a spare in case they lose one. The flat is going to also show all the top stitching on the collar, on the pockets, how big the pockets are, if it's going to have flaps or not, whether it's going to have this little bar tacks for stability. It's going to say all these things. And these flats are really the drawings that you're going to use to communicate all the little nitty-gritty design details with your technical designer, with your pattern maker, with your sample maker, with your production facilities, everybody. And these flats will be part of your spec packs or tech packs. Specification packages and technical packages, they're pretty much the same. People use them interchangeably. Spec packs, tech packs, and spec packs are all slightly different depending on what company you work with. Some of the main components will be the same company to company. So these spec packs, they'll include, of course, a large version of the flat. And then sometimes if you have like a really important detail that is very small, it'll have blown up images of that small detail. You're going to have the drawing, and then you need a pattern card. And when I say pattern, I don't mean like a flower pattern on a fabric, but the pattern for the garment. You have to develop the exact shape of this collar in a collar pattern to get it to roll and fold and sit the way you want it to. So on this pattern card, you're going to have the flat, and you're going to have a list of all the pattern pieces that you need to create this garment. And so you'll list the front pattern piece, the sleeve pattern piece, the collar pattern piece, and the collar stand pattern piece, the center front placket pattern piece. Although obviously you won't say pattern piece over and over and over again. We get it, right? So though that information is for your pattern card, and that helps the company figure out how much fabric you're going to need for one of these items, how many pattern pieces, and that also goes into discussing cost of the garment, how much it's going to cost to cut it. The more pieces you have that you have to sew together, the more it's going to cost, things like that. And you have to keep within your price bracket for your designs. Otherwise, they're going to modify your design to fit the price bracket. You wouldn't want to walk into an Old Navy and find the most amazing thing ever to discover that it's $300. And you're like, what the hell, Old Navy? You guys don't sell $300 things in here. Why is this here? So you got to make sure that your price bracket is all kind of in the range that your customers are used to. You're going to have a bill of materials in your spec pack, which is basically a list of all the things that you're going to need for your garment. The main fabric, any contrast fabric, zippers, buttons, so any kind of closures. It's going to list the kind of thread that you're going to use and what color thread you're going to use. Your spec pack will also include sewing information, like how wide is the top stitching going to be? It's also going to have information like where to put the labels. You know how sometimes you get a t-shirt and all the information is on one label on the back of your neck, and then some shirts you get a bunch of tags on the side, like kind of close to the hem. All of that is also in your spec pack, where it's like, oh, okay, so I want the main label, the country of origin, and the size tab on the back. And then I want the care instructions in the side seam. So you're gonna have different labels, and you're going to have diagrams to show where everything is going to be. And then you're gonna have your measurements for the garment. So if your sleeve needs to be 36 inches, center front is 32 inches long, or, from your high shoulder point down to the hem is this long, the chest circumference is this long, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's also going to include tolerances, because when production comes in, you're gonna have someone measure like 5% of the production to make sure that the garments are coming into your specifications. And so you'll say, like, if you're doing a run of men's jackets, and let's say your chest width is 52 inches, you might put the tolerance is give or take half an inch. So when you're doing the inspection, you can say if it's 52.5 inches, that's okay. If it's 53 inches, that is not okay. So that's your tolerance. And so those things will also be listed in your spec pack. So it all starts with the flat, with the design flat with very specific drawings. And so if that's where you're designing, then what's the point of designing on the figure? Now, a lot of people say that you don't need to design on the figure. And I think that the more design skills and tools you have at your disposal, the better. And understanding how the garments are going to work on a body and how they're going to move is just as important as the specifications of a cuff, what kind of cuff, how many buttons are going to be on the cuff. And so I use the two things differently, okay? And it also depends on the kind of garment that I'm designing. If I'm designing evening wear, I want to see the whole package. I want to create the glamorous look. Sometimes, stuff doesn't look very glamorous when it's blueprinted, like all flat, laid out. I like to design on a figure when I'm going to be designing with very fluid fabrics. If I'm doing, softly falling modal jerseys, I want to see how it clings and falls off the body with cowls and drapes. Or if I'm doing a lot of sheer chiffons, and I use a walking pose to kind of visualize how the person is going to walk when they're wearing the skirt made out of several layers of organza, something like that. That's all part of the visual and the design. And then, if I'm doing straightforward varsity jackets for men, it's really more about, all the interesting little details and a special pocket, a different kind of pocket flap, maybe some contrast leather banding in some areas. Am I hiding the zipper, exposing the zipper? Am I showing a lot of hardware? Am I hiding all the hardware? What kind of look am I going for? And those things are better done on a flat. As a designer, if you want to be a versatile designer, I think that you should learn both methods to design and be able to translate it. Okay? Take your flowing organza skirt, but then also be able to flat it for your pattern maker. Because if the clear instructions that you can give to your pattern maker and your sample sewer, the better your first round results are going to be. You don't want to spend all that time and energy and money and frustrations on, but that's not what I meant, but your drawing was so vague. But Well, what I meant was, back and forth, back and forth. It's like you want to create the beautiful image. You want to show people the beautiful image. You want to remind yourself that this is kind of the goal you're working towards. You have the flat for your pattern maker, for your sewer. Be like, this is how many panels of the skirt I want. This is the kind of hem on the skirt I want. This is the kind of yoke. This is how wide I want to make the yoke in proportion to the rest of the skirt, etc., etc. So I'm going to start a series of videos on how to make flats. And the first video I'm going to make for you guys is all about how to create your own template. So much like we use fashion figure templates to do our design work on, you want to use a flat template to do all your flats on. And this is even more important than using fashion figure templates because flats are more exact than figure work. And so the usage of the template and creating the template also needs to be more exact than developing your fashion figure. And then after we've created our templates, I'm going to show you how to draw flats based off of existing garments. Again, you have to learn how existing garments work so that you understand how to deviate from it so that you can add your special twist. I'm going to give you examples of designing on the body versus designing on the flat. And then I'm going to do a video all about troubleshooting and problems that even experienced designers face when doing flats and how to figure that stuff out. So this flat series is going to be the more design oriented section of my channel, and it's a lot of information. Okay, this is slightly less fun but more important to learn if you want to be a fashion designer. So I'm going to try to keep the videos a little bit on the shorter side. Give me all the questions. All right, I can't help you unless I know what it is you're struggling with. So leave a bunch of questions below. Hit the subscribe button so that you're alerted for future videos in the flat series. Oh, this is the part I suck at. So I'm supposed to tell you to like the page and subscribe to the page and thumbs up, all that good stuff. I don't know, social media. I am very good at flats. I am not so good at social media. That's what it is. All right. Anyway, I am very good at flats. We're going to go over flats. We're going to learn flats. And this is perfect for those of you who are like, I don't know how to draw shit, but I want to design some stuff. Flats will really help those of you who are more insecure about your drawing skills. Stay tuned. Subscribe. Come back. Leave me comments. Leave me questions. Email me at teaching@zoehong.com, all your inquiries, and I will address them as we roll. All right. See you next time.